David and Lisa met on a sunny Saturday morning at a local coffee shop in New York. David was a friendly young man with a bright smile. He loved to read and was very kind to everyone. Lisa was a cheerful woman who enjoyed painting and was full of life. She was a little shy but had a warm heart and loved to help others. Their personalities were different, but they fit together perfectly. When David first saw Lisa, he was impressed by her laughter. It was like music. He noticed how her eyes sparkled when she smiled. Lisa liked David for his gentle way of talking and how he made her feel safe. They both shared a love for art and often talked about their dreams. This common interest helped build a strong emotional foundation. As their relationship grew, so did their feelings for each other. They went on excited adventures, exploring the city together. They supported each other's dreams and took time to listen. However, as they became closer, they faced a challenge. David sometimes felt jealous. He worried that Lisa's friendship with other people might come between them. Meanwhile, Lisa noticed David's jealousy and wanted to reassure him of her love. How would they face this challenge? Would they let it pull them apart or bring them closer together? Their journey was just beginning, and each day held the promise of growth and deeper connections. As the weeks passed, David noticed a change in Lisa. She seemed quieter than before. During their coffee dates, Lisa often stared at her cup, lost in thought. David frowned, feeling a weight in his chest. He felt like there was a wall growing between them, and he didn't know why. One Friday evening, they sat on a park bench, watching the sunset. David tried to spark a conversation. "What do you want to do this weekend?" he asked. Lisa shrugged. "I don't know." She looked away, not meeting his eyes. David's heart sank. This was not like her. He missed her laughter and bright spirit. As days went by, David started to feel unsure of himself. He thought, is it something I did? Is she unhappy with me? The feeling of jealousy crept back. David worried that Lisa might find someone else who understood her better, someone who could make her smile like she used to. One night, David mustered the courage to talk to her. They were snuggled up on the couch, but the air between them felt tense. "Lisa, I feel like something is wrong." "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice soft. He hoped this opened a door to their feelings. Lisa took a deep breath, her expression shifting. "I am okay. I just feel tired. Sometimes I want some time to think. It doesn't mean I don't love you." Her words were kind, but David could still sense something beneath the surface. "That's what I'm afraid of," David replied honestly. "I feel like I'm losing you, and I don't know how to fix it." His voice trembled. He felt vulnerable, like his heart was open and raw. Lisa looked surprised by his words. "I never meant to make you feel that way. I just need space to think about my art and myself. It's not about you. You are wonderful, David." She reached out and squeezed his hand, but David still felt a storm within him. "I understand, but it hurts when you seem distant. What if you need someone else? Someone who can help more?" He clutched his own hands, anxiety rising in his heart. Their misunderstanding felt like a dark cloud hovering over them. Lisa's eyes filled with confusion. "David, that's not true. I care for you, but I also need to find my own light sometimes. It's hard to explain." The two stared at each other, their hearts opening and closing like a book with missing pages. They wanted to share but were afraid of the words catching in their throats. That night, David lay in bed, tossing and turning, his mind racing with thoughts. Could he trust Lisa? Could he let her have space without feeling like he would lose her? His heart wanted to leap over the gap that was growing between them. Within the silence, both partners now stewed in their emotions, unsure of how to bridge the growing distance. Their first struggles had revealed a deeper fear, the fear of losing one another while trying to keep their hearts true to themselves. As days turned into weeks, Lisa began spending more time at her art studio. While she found happiness in her artwork, David noticed that her absence was becoming more painful. One Saturday evening, David ventured into the studio to surprise Lisa. He carried her favorite cookies, hoping to lift her spirits. As he entered, He found her deep in concentration, painting a vibrant sunset on the canvas. For a moment, he admired her artistic skill, but then a pang of sadness hit him. It felt like she was slipping further away. "Hey, I brought you cookies," David said, trying to sound cheerful. Lisa turned, her eyes lighting up momentarily before darkening again. "Thank you, that's sweet of you," she replied. But she quickly turned back to her painting, absorbed once more in her world. David felt a knot tighten in his chest. "Do you have time for a break? We could talk." He approached her, setting the cookies on the table. "I miss you," he admitted, the vulnerability creeping into his voice. Lisa sighed, placing her paintbrush down. "I know, but I need to work on this project. It means a lot to me right now." His heart sank. It felt like he was asking for a moment and she was giving him a lifetime of silence. "I want to support you, but I sometimes feel invisible," David said, frustration bubbling up in his chest. "You're always working. I can't help but wonder if you really want to be with me." Lisa's eyes flashed with emotions. "That's not fair. I'm trying to find myself, and it's hard to balance everything." "It doesn't mean I don't love you." The air felt thick with unspoken fears. They each took a step back, feeling the distance grow between them again. As the days passed, the tension between them built like a simmering pot on the stove. David felt a sense of jealousy rise within him. Every time he saw Lisa lost in her art, he couldn't shake the image of her happiness without him. Doubt washed over him. Was she in love with her passion more than with him? "Am I enough?" crept into his mind, becoming a shadow that darkened his heart. During dinner one evening, David struggled to keep his feelings hidden. The atmosphere felt strained, and the conversations were shallow. Lisa noticed David's silence and asked, "What's wrong?" "I don't know," David said, his voice low. "I just feel like I'm losing you to your art. Sometimes I wish you would show me more that you care." Lisa felt the weight of his words. "You have no idea how much you mean to me. I need this time for myself to grow. I thought you would understand." The misunderstanding made her heart heavy. She felt pulled between David and her art, trapped in a battle she couldn't share. Both partners began to withdraw emotionally. David kept his feelings bottled up while Lisa continued to immerse herself in her work. Their small victories felt overshadowed by an internal storm. Neither knew how to bridge the gap forming between their hearts, yet both longed for connection. As their relationship faced these internal conflicts, they both felt challenged to find clarity among their feelings. It was a difficult journey, but every small win mattered, as they began to brave the storms that came between them, ready to seek more understanding of each other's worlds. Each day presented opportunities, but would they take the steps needed to mend what was fraying between them? The potential for growth was there, it was just waiting to be discovered. It was a rainy evening when everything came to a head. David returned home after a long day, eager to see Lisa and share his thoughts. He found her in their small living room, surrounded by paints and canvases. The floor was a mess, and the smell of paint filled the air. Lisa was absorbed in her latest piece, her eyes focused and her brush moving fast. But instead of feeling welcomed, David felt a stab of frustration. "Lisa," he called, hoping to shift her attention. "I'm back. Can we talk?" Lisa glanced up, but annoyance flashed through her eyes as she replied, "Can it wait? I'm almost done with this section. It's important to me." It felt as though his presence was an interruption, and David's heart sank. "I've been waiting for days. Why can't you just take a moment to talk?" His voice rose, stress spilling from him like an overstretched balloon ready to burst. With sweeping motions, Lisa placed her brush down, turning to face him fully. "It's always about you and your needs. Can't you see how hard I'm trying? Art is my way to find myself." David felt anger bubble up. "You never make time for us anymore. I'm starting to feel like I don't matter to you." The words came out sharper than he intended, cutting deep into the space they'd been clinging to. Lisa's face paled, sadness mingling with anger. "That's unfair. You think I'm just ignoring you? I'm in a process. I thought you would support me." As she spoke, a single tear slipped down her cheek. It shook David, pulling him closer to a breaking point. His heart felt heavy, regret creeping in. I do support you. But I also need you. It feels like I'm losing you to this painting, David implored, the pain in his voice echoing the insecurities that had taken root in his mind. Maybe you're scared I'll be successful on my own. Lisa shot back, her voice straining under the weight of her own frustration. Did you ever think you needed me a little too much? His heart pounded as he struggled to find the right words, his voice trembling. You're more than a successful artist to me, Lisa. You're my partner. And I can't just sit back while you disappear into your canvas. The truth of his fear laid bare brought a cold silence between them, heavier than the rain outside. Lisa shook her head, trembling with a mix of anger and hurt. You want me to choose? Choose between you and my work? I can't believe you're asking that from me. David blinked, feeling as if the ground had been pulled from under him. I never wanted that. I just want to feel like you care. In the midst of this emotional storm, they both stood frozen, caught between the weight of their fights and the love that still flickered like a candle in the dark. Words unsaid lingered in the air, heavy and charged. Pain filled their hearts, leaving them feeling lost and vulnerable. The storm outside raged on, and inside, their emotions clashed like thunder. Each wanted to reach out and mend what felt broken, but pride and fear held them back. David and Lisa found themselves at a crossroads, standing on shaky ground without the clarity to see the path ahead. The tension pulsed between them, raw and unyielding, marked by words exchanged that they would both come to regret as the night wore on. Their compatibility was now tested in this pivotal moment, leaving them to wonder if they could find their way back to each other. After their intense argument, David lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The rain tapped against the window, and each sound felt like a reminder of their fight. He turned the words from their conversation over and over in his mind. Why had he said those things? Why had they let it go this far? Feeling restless, David got up and paced around the small apartment. His heart sank as he thought about the possibility of losing Lisa. What if we can't fix this? He whispered to the empty room. In search of clarity, David picked up his journal from the coffee table. He opened to a fresh page and began to write. I feel afraid that I am losing the most important person in my life. I love Lisa, but sometimes it feels like we want different things. As he wrote, tears filled his eyes. He wrote about how much he admired Lisa's passion for art. I never wanted to pull her down, he realized. I want her to shine, but maybe I'm scared that I won't shine with her. David paused, the notebook trembling in his hands. A thought struck him, maybe my jealousy is really fear. Fear of being alone or being replaced. The weight of that realization hit him hard, but it also brought a glimmer of hope. If I can understand this fear, maybe I can talk to Lisa about it. On the other side of the apartment, Lisa sat crouched on the floor of her studio, feeling overwhelmed. Her canvas stood unfinished, much like the hole in her heart. Did my desire for success push David away? She asked herself softly, biting her lip. Lisa rummaged around her studio for her sketchbook and began to draw. As the pencil moved across the paper, she allowed her feelings to flow onto the page. With each stroke, memories of her conversations with David replayed in her mind. He wants to support me, but I cannot let go of my dreams, she thought, feeling a mix of sadness and determination. As she drew, Lisa wrote down her feelings, just as David had. I feel guilty for putting my needs first, but I also know I need to grow. I feel torn between my heart and my art. Every word she wrote echoed David's earlier plea. What if he thinks I care more about my art than him? The reality of their situation washed over her. Lisa didn't want to lose David. The thought made her stomach twist. If we keep going this way, we might drift too far apart, she realized, a lump forming in her throat. I love him, but I also have to stand tall on my own. Both David and Lisa sat in their separate spaces, surrounded by their own reflections, realizing just how fragile their bond had become. They understood that unless they both took steps to mend their connection, they may not survive this. Each found themselves standing at a crossroads. As the evening wore on, a feeling of determination replaced the hurt that had previously clouded their minds. They both wanted to forge a way forward, yet they had to understand themselves better before they could heal together. Each moment of reflection drew a clearer picture in their hearts. The love they shared was real, but so were the walls they had unconsciously built. Their insights had sparked a flicker of hope. Despite the pain, they both grasped that change would require communication, vulnerability, and the courage to face their fears together. Would they find the strength to approach each other, willing to share the truths they uncovered in the quiet solitude of their thoughts? Only time would tell, but the moment of insight felt like a necessary step towards healing what had begun to break. The morning after their argument was heavy with tension. David woke up earlier than usual, feeling a mix of hope and anxiety. He knew that change was needed. He wanted to talk to Lisa. He sat on the edge of his bed, his journal open beside him. Words danced in his mind, but he wasn't sure how to start. After a few moments, he took a deep breath and quietly walked to the living room. Lisa was already there, sitting on the couch with her sketchbook, lost in her thoughts. The sight of her made his heart ache, and he feared that words could awaken old wounds. "Lisa," he began, taking a slow step forward. She looked up, her eyes showing a mix of surprise and caution. "Can we talk?" Lisa set her pencil down, hesitating but nodding. "Okay." She felt a glimmer of hope in the air between them, but it was still fragile. "I'm sorry for what I said last night," David confessed, his voice steady but soft. "I didn't mean to imply that your art is less important than our relationship. I was feeling hurt and scared." Lisa felt the weight of his honesty and recognized the courage it took to speak those words. "I'm sorry too," she said, tears threatening to fall. "I put my need for success ahead of you, and that's not what I want." She took a deep breath, letting vulnerability wash over her. "I want both, my art and you." In that moment, something shifted. Both partners understood that they could move forward only if they were honest about their feelings. David reached for Lisa's hand and squeezed it gently. "What if we try to communicate better? I think we need to share more of ourselves. Maybe we could even go to counseling together," he suggested. Lisa's eyes widened slightly at the mention of counseling. It felt like a big step forward. "That could be helpful. I want to learn how to express my feelings without fear." She felt that this was the turning point they had been seeking. Together, they decided to research local therapists. They spent hours reading articles about healthy communication and asking for advice from friends who had faced similar struggles. David found a short book about relationships that seemed worth reading. Each positive action they took felt like a brick being placed back in the wall they had been building together, helping it stand strong again. Over the next few days, they began to implement small changes. During dinner, they dedicated time to share their feelings, replacing argument with understanding. They learned to ask each other, "How did that make you feel?" or "What can I do to help?" This new rhythm breathed life back into their everyday conversations. As they grew closer through these efforts, Lisa discovered she could open up about her insecurities, while David learned to express his fears in a constructive way. Their small victories felt monumental, like sunlight breaking through dark clouds. One weekend evening, as they cuddled on the couch reading together, David felt a wave of relief wash over him. "I really believe we can get through this together," he said, his voice light with hope. "I do too," Lisa replied, smiling through her tears. Their shared laughter bounced off the walls, a reminder of their connection, and they felt the warmth of love surrounding them once again. The emotional turning point had come through an act of vulnerability, understanding, and a commitment to grow together. Both partners agreed that the idea of losing each other was more painful than the fear of addressing their issues. They had begun to fight for their relationship, together, discovering that every small action taken was a step toward rebuilding and strengthening the love they cherished. In the weeks that followed their heartfelt discussion, David and Lisa began to implement the changes they had talked about. They created a routine that included check-in moments during their evenings, where they could openly share their feelings. Though eager to improve their relationship, old habits were hard to shake, and some situations felt a bit awkward at first. One night, while making dinner together, Lisa stirred the pasta while David chopped vegetables. "Okay," Lisa started tentatively, "let's do our check-in." She looked at him anxiously, her fingers fidgeting with a spoon. "How do you feel today?" David paused, putting down his knife. He smiled gently, appreciating the effort they were both making. Well, I had a tough day at work. I felt overwhelmed. But just knowing we're working on things together really helps. Lisa nodded, but she could see the worry in David's eyes. Do you think it's okay for us to be imperfect? She asked, biting her lip. Sometimes I feel like we need to have it all figured out. David chuckled softly, the tension easing a bit. Imperfect is the new perfect for us, I guess, he replied. We both have things to work on, and that's okay. They shared a laugh, but they still felt the weight of their past challenges lingering in the air. As days turned into weeks, David noticed that he often fell back into his old ways, especially when things felt stressful. He found himself thinking, what if she pulls away again? A twinge of jealousy would creep in at times when Lisa worked late on her art. Reassuring himself felt harder than he had expected. One evening, as Lisa painted at her easel, David approached her carefully. Can we talk? He asked, his voice tentative. She set her brush down and nodded. I just wanted to say that sometimes when you're focused on your painting, I feel a bit left out. I know it's wrong, but I worry, David admitted. His honesty hung in the air. He braced himself for Lisa's response, wondering how she would react. Lisa looked thoughtful for a moment. I appreciate you telling me. It gives me a chance to reassure you. I'm focused on my art, but that doesn't mean I don't want time with you, she replied sweetly. I promise to check in more during those times and let you know what's happening in my head. They embraced, the connection feeling stronger after sharing those vulnerable moments. But there were still hiccups along the way. During another check-in, Lisa started to share her feelings but got tangled in her words. I feel like my art is so important, but you're important too, and I don't want to choose, she stumbled, frustration edging into her voice. You don't have to choose, Lisa, David reminded her gently. We both make each other strong. Just take your time, okay? His calm tone helped quiet her frazzled thoughts. Despite moments of vulnerability, they respected each other's space and needs better than before. Small acts of love became part of their new routine. David began writing little notes for Lisa and stuck them to her art supplies. You're brilliant, one note read, and Lisa found herself smiling every time she saw it. Lisa surprised David with his favorite meal one night after he'd had a rough day. I thought this could help you feel better. Her kindness warmed his heart, and they shared laughter over dinner, remembering simpler times in their relationship. Though challenges still arose, the connection they were building felt like strong, soft threads weaving them closer together. Every awkward conversation or minor slip-up was met with patience and fatigue, but those were quickly outweighed by their growing understanding. The underlying hope within their partnership began to flourish, allowing both David and Lisa the room to express and explore their feelings together, rewriting their story through love and companionship. One sunny Saturday afternoon, David and Lisa decided to spend the day together in Central Park. The air was bright and fresh, filled with the sounds of laughter and birds chirping. They had both agreed to set aside time for one another, wanting to enjoy each other's company without distraction. After picking up some sandwiches from a nearby cafe, they found a cozy spot under a large oak tree. As they sat down on the blanket, the sun filtered through the leaves, creating a peaceful atmosphere. David looked over at Lisa and smiled, feeling grateful for this moment. You know, I've missed simple days like this with you, he said, pulling out a sandwich. Lisa's eyes sparkled with joy. Me too. Sometimes, it's nice to just be together and breathe. She unwrapped her sandwich, her heart lightened by the warmth of the day and his words. As they enjoyed their meal, they began to share stories about their childhoods, each story weaving them closer. Lisa spoke of drawing in the park as a little girl, while David shared memories of climbing trees and dreaming big. Their laughter lingered, echoing in the gentle wind. After they finished eating, Lisa suggested, "Do you want to walk around the park?" David nodded enthusiastically. As they strolled along the paths filled with blooming flowers and the laughter of families around them, a sense of comfort settled between them. It wasn't just the beauty of the park, but the warmth of each other's presence that filled the moment with meaning. With her heart full, Lisa turned toward David. I feel like we are really beginning to understand each other again. Her voice was steady and sincere. I used to worry so much about my art and everything else, but with you, I feel safe. I want to share both my successes and fears with you. David stopped walking, looking into her eyes with deep admiration. I feel the same way. I used to think that if I lost you to your passion, I wouldn't know how to cope. But I realize now that supporting you and seeing you happy also makes me feel happy. This moment of truth hung between them like golden light, illuminating the pathway back to each other. As they continued to walk, Lisa paused at a small fountain filled with ducks, playfully splashing in the water. She pointed excitedly. Look at them. They're so carefree. David laughed as he watched her joy, feeling a renewed sense of connection. At that moment, Lisa turned serious. You know, I want us to keep having these conversations. I want to find a way to make sure we're both heard, no matter how busy life gets. David agreed, absolutely. I think it's important that we both push past the awkwardness. Whenever we hit those rough spots, we've learned we can work through them if we just open up. He felt a wave of relief wash over him. In that moment of deep connection, probably the first of many new beginnings, both partners understood that they had changed. They had learned to be more vulnerable, opening their hearts, not just to share the love, but also the insecurities that came to the surface. As they walked back, hand in hand, under the bright sun filtering through the trees, they felt reaffirmed in their commitment. They realized that together, they were stronger and could face whatever life threw their way. Their love had evolved into something deeper, based on trust and understanding, which made them feel truly safe. The lessons learned in their journey strengthened their bond, allowing David and Lisa to embrace each other's dreams while walking side by side. As the days turned into weeks, David and Lisa embraced their newfound understanding, allowing their relationship to flourish in unexpected ways. They struggled together, laughed with each other, and openly celebrated their successes. Through their growth, they found not only healing but confidence as well. One evening, as autumn days brought cool breezes and beautiful colors to the city, Lisa stepped into the living room, brimming with excitement. David, I have something to show you, she called out, her voice radiating joy. David looked up from his book, his curiosity piqued. When Lisa unveiled her finished painting from weeks of work, his breath caught in his throat. The canvas glimmered with vibrant reds and warm oranges, depicting a serene park scene filled with life and warmth. It was a reflection of their recent experiences together. In the center, a couple walked hand in hand beneath a large autumn tree. I can't believe how beautiful this is, David exclaimed, jumping from the couch to join her. It's like you painted our story. It shows love and connection. As he stood beside her, he took her hands, realizing how far they had come. This painting reminds me of our journey, Lisa said, feeling proud. It's about overcoming challenges together and still finding joy. And that's how we've grown. Together, they hung the painting on the wall, a symbol of their shared journey. It didn't just represent the art but also the love that had deepened between them. Every time they passed it by, it would remind them of the struggles they had faced and, more importantly, how they had emerged stronger together. With the holidays approaching, they began to brainstorm new goals together. What if we planned a trip somewhere new? David suggested during dinner one night. We could visit an art gallery in another city, perhaps somewhere we've both wanted to go. Lisa's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. That sounds amazing. We could see different styles of art and even attend a workshop. The thought of traveling together ignited excitement, and they dove into planning their adventure. As they mapped out the details, they exchanged ideas and laughs over their traditional evening check-ins. They were more attentive to each other's needs, allowing space for vulnerabilities. Each moment was filled with understanding, strengthening the bond they had nearly lost. One evening, after a long day of planning, David looked into Lisa's eyes, his heart brimming with gratitude. I don't think I've ever felt this close to you, he admitted. You've shown me that pursuing art doesn't have to create distance. It brings us together. Lisa smiled softly, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. And you've helped me understand that I can be successful while still cherishing our love. We can be independent while also depending on each other. Their fingers intertwined, reminding them of the connection they had reaffirmed. As winter approached, the world outside began to cloak itself in white. One cold evening, they snuggled under a warm blanket by the fireplace. David handed Lisa a small white box. Open it, he urged, his heart racing. Inside was a silver key pendant, glittering softly against the backdrop of the box's fabric. What does it mean? She asked, a smile growing on her face. It's a reminder that you have the key to my heart. I want us to keep unlocking new doors together, both in our lives and our relationship. His words warmed her more than the fire, filling her with emotion. With tears of joy in her eyes, Lisa leaned in. I love you, David. Together, we will keep growing. After all the challenges they faced, they emerged transformed, ready to embrace life's adventures together. David and Lisa had grown stronger, not just as individuals but as partners navigating the world side by side. With hearts full of hope and love, they stepped confidently into the future, determined to continue sharing their dreams and building a life rich with connection.